What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Daddy Everyday podcast. Before I get started, make sure you visit daddyeveryday.org. It has all my information, like my bio, links to the bookstore, the clothing store, links to the YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Evan Vision on YouTube so you don't miss an episode of Daddy Everyday podcast and Damn the Cap podcast, 4th and Peachtree podcast. It's all on Evan Vision, so make sure you guys check that out. And speaking of podcasts, today's episode is going to be focused on podcast questions you guys have sent me. I would like to say thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm glad to be an inspiration because a lot of people have been thinking about getting into the podcast game, and I think now seeing somebody they know, they've, supported, somebody they've been close to do this, it feels like they can reach out to somebody who's doing it and then get information on how to get into it. A lot of people are intimidated by it because they think of the major podcasts, the popular podcasts and everything, and feel like they can't get into it, but you got to start somewhere. So you don't have to be a known name to start a podcast. All you have to do is have something to say. So I have a lot of podcast questions. I'm going to get into as many as I can. Then there's been some personal questions that I would kind of want to answer for you guys because I always want to keep you guys connected to me because I figure if you're going to help support my dream and my vision, then you should get to know more about me. So let's get into these podcast questions. And the first one is, what inspired you to start your podcast? So now, doing the Daddy Everyday stuff, workshops and everything, going to schools to talk, and hell, even churches. Amazing, I just said hell, going to church. Anyway, going to churches to speak and everything, I felt like I wanted to get my voice out more to the masses, like people who aren't in the city that I'm in, doing all my speaking engagements. So I had the ideal of doing a podcast, but I never pushed it. And once again, you guys always hear me shouting out my super producer, Big Lack, but I'm doing his podcast. And after we finished taping his podcast, the Big Lack Show, he said, you need to shoot a podcast. Now, I've been thinking it. I just never moved on it. And it's one of those things I have a lot of great ideas, guys. And 2024 is my year to get these ideas out of me. Win or fail, but just to get them out of me. Because a lot of times I have stuff and I can't even focus on other things because I have all these other ideas in me. I was like, they're just trying to come out. And I know when I have this in me trying to come out, it wasn't just something I want to do. It's part of my divine purpose. This whole everything dealing with fatherhood, me, I'm a great dad, but me wanting to assist other fathers, that's the our Heavenly Father putting that on me to do. So when he sends people in your life to try to push you, don't take it as a negative. Big Lack said, you need to do a podcast, and he's the reason why I'm still doing this. So shout out to my super producer, Big Lack, for that. So it was always in me to do it. Sometimes you just need that push, and be aware of people that are trying to push you. They are sent there on purpose. So just be aware of that. All right. So that's how I started, why I started the podcast, just to get the message out to the masses. How do you choose the topics for your episodes? So I can't force it. Much like with the books I've written and everything, I can't force the message. It has to come to me. Whenever I always get confused or frustrated when I try to do things on my own. So everything that's Daddy Everyday is sent to me, spirit wise, however you want to put it, it's sent to me. And then that's how I'm able to flow. Whenever I get stuck, trying to come up with a topic, I just keep living life. I just go on my day to day. And it comes to me, and then I just run with it. So I know I'm a messenger kind of thing. So that's how I get my topics. It's nothing forced. I just let it flow, come to me, and then I spring on it. And it's stuff that's dealing with me. Everything I talk about is basically personal. It's what I'm living. So I definitely can speak on it. And these podcasts aren't just for you guys. There's a lot of times I'm giving tips on things, and it's things that I know I need to do. So you're not in this alone. Trust me. You guys are witnessing someone that is destined for greatness. I'm just on the road to it. A lot of times we follow people that are already great, but now you guys are just witnessing somebody that's on that path. And I know I'm destined for greatness. And I know there's others out there that are destined for greatness. I think everybody has greatness in them. A lot of them don't want to try to achieve it. And for those of you that want to try to achieve it, I'm there 100%. That's why I answer these questions when you guys DM me and stuff, because I know you're trying to go to that next level. And any way I can help you guys get to that next level, I want to be a part of that. How do you balance podcasting with other aspects of your life? It's difficult. A lot of times when I would just want to dive into one thing in life, like whether it's just kicking it with my boys, I still got other things. I still got the day job. Got to put in time for that. That's how I keep the lights on. The whole me time thing, that's a real thing. I had to have time just for me, just doing whatever I want to. And the goal is to try to do it guilt-free, because a lot of times when I'm just sitting back and enjoying myself, I feel guilty because I think about household stuff I need to do. I think about, all right, what am I doing with Daddy every day? I need to be moving with that so I can transition from doing that full-time and then working my job part-time to no time. That's the goal. So it's difficult, but you just got to be conscious of and intentional and discipline. It takes all that into coming up with what your schedule is going to look like daily and sticking to that schedule. Everything won't get a fair amount of time. There's some days that you'll work more on your day job than you will spend time with your kids. When you have the time to spend time with your kids, that's when you max it out to the most. But then there's time where you need to put time into your business. That's what it is. You need to focus on putting time into your business. So there's not a magical formula to balancing everything in your life. It's just being intentional, involving your family, like letting them know, okay, this is our family time here. This is when I'm going to spend time, focusing on this aspect of my life. Hey, this is when I'm just going to schedule some me time kind of thing. So just get your family involved, because that's the biggest part. It's the family part. If you get them on board, everything else is a lot smoother. But just remember, everything won't get equal time. So you just got to be disciplined in knowing this is for this time, and then I'll do that when it's time, that kind of thing. What else we got? Can you share a memorable moment from one of your podcast interviews? By far, having an episode with my boys. I've tried to keep them involved in Daddy Every Day along the way. They're the inspiration behind this. Like, you guys know the story about Kendrick giving me my light bulb moment for Daddy Every Day. So, and they check up on me. They ask, you recording this Sunday? Or the little one, Dylan, he'll actually watch an episode. He always compare my views to his favorite YouTube views. But, one day I'll get up to that level as well. But I appreciate their support. So having them on the episode was amazing. And I definitely want to have them on again, because they're going through some major life transitions in the next school year. One's going to middle school, and one's going to college. So I want to bring them on to talk about that, definitely. But that by far, that's my favorite moment of doing Daddy Every Day podcast. What challenges have you faced in podcasting? How did you overcome them? Anxiety. My biggest thing was in the beginning days of shooting these podcasts, I would have so much anxiety. Like the day before, I couldn't focus on nothing. I felt almost to the point where I felt sick to shoot the podcast. And it's one of those things, because there was a time where I didn't like my voice, didn't really want to be on camera. And then here I am trying to do a podcast that requires both, to hear my voice and to be on camera. But I knew I had a message that I wanted to give. So it was one of those things where I had to push my fear and anxiety to the side and do it. But for episodes after episode, I would have so much anxiety leading up to it. shooting the episode, I'm totally fine. Like, well, now I'm better now. Like, I can, even on my ride here, I used to have anxiety. I don't have that anymore. I look forward to it. So it's changed, and I'm glad I pushed through it. A lot of times we give up on things because we allow the anxiety to stop us. And I say, if it's something you want to do, you got to push through it. So like here I am now, completely comfortable throughout the week. When I send my show notes, I'm sending my show notes to Big Lat. I'm ready to shoot. Like once I send the show notes to him, I'm ready. So throughout the week, I'm still going over what I'm going to talk about and all that type of stuff. You guys know I can't do it off a script. Like I have my notes, but I can't have every word that I'm saying written down. A lot of stuff just comes straight from the heart. Like even going over these questions, I will read them and I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I say this or say that. But a lot of times I don't even put notes on that part because I just want it to flow. Like where I am in the moment when I answer these questions. But that's my biggest thing I had to overcome was just anxiety about doing this. So like I'm a lot more comfortable now. Sometimes still feel a little cringy to watch the episodes because, we can be our own worst critic. And I'm still growing in this. I'm like, this is like the 24th episode, I believe. So I am still growing doing this. So, but I'm definitely better than episode 1. All right. How do you prepare for your podcast episodes? Just letting the spirit move me. Like, I just, obviously come up with a topic and I think about it, I pray on it. Just that somebody is touched by what I'm saying. I really pray on that. Somebody is moved, somebody's inspired to have their breakthrough from watching an episode. There is no greater joy than getting someone messaged me and saying, saw your podcast, they implemented something I said, it worked. There's no greater joy than that. That's the joy I get, like, even like with my books and stuff, when someone leaves a good review, a 5-star review, keep those coming, please. There's no greater joy than that. Like someone's benefiting from what I'm doing, and this is my purpose. So I know the Lord has put this on my heart to do, and I'm not going to let him down. I'm not going to let you guys down. So I just, like all the hard work is done by my producer. So like make sure everything's set up and all that stuff. I just come and just deliver the message. So it's not much for me to get prepared for these episodes. I just come and just be myself. So for those that are obviously trying to do the podcasting thing with all these questions that I received, be yourself. Like, don't try to be like any other podcast because that's their lane. Just create your own lane. So like, I hope I'm carving out my own niche in fatherhood and just general self-development as well for parents, period. For individuals, like I hope anyone that's watching this podcast, whether you're a mom or dad or just a single dude or woman, that you can get something from what I'm saying. Like obviously a lot of things I'm saying are geared towards parents, and then a lot of times it's focused on Black men, Black fathers in particular. But I hope you can grab something resonates with you, and you're able to find some type of healing, possibly some kind of advice or tip that you can use to help better your life. What advice do you have for someone looking to start their own podcast? Just like I just said, being yourself, like knowing what you want to talk about. Don't force it. Don't try to jump on a particular trend. Just something that's you. That way, every episode you come on, you don't have to put on an act. You can just be comfortable and just being yourself. Talk about things that excite you, that you want to know more about. That's a good topic. Like, so you'll do the research on that and spread the word on what you've learned. So, and there's still plenty of more topics and genres that you can create by being yourself, kind of thing. You can start your own lane, basically, or being the first at a particular style of podcasting. So Yeah, just being yourself is the biggest advice I can give someone as far as starting your podcast. Just be yourself, being original, that kind of thing. Like you can see with me, I don't talk about hot topics because a lot of times by the time I get to them, it's old news. So I just stay with what's given to me or what I feel the people need. Like a lot of times episodes are based on what you guys want to hear about. I listen to the spirit and wind up talking about something that somebody had messaged me about. So keep those messages coming, please. How do you engage with your podcast audience? A lot of times, obviously, through social media. I reach out to people just to see what they thought about the podcast. So social media is my biggest way to engage with my audience. I'm definitely trying to look for new ways to incorporate my audience. That's why I do these Q&A episodes from time to time, just to let you guys know I hear you and I want, to answer your questions and things like that. So I appreciate the feedback on the episodes. I appreciate the questions, and I get a lot of them. So I'm very thankful for that. So I'm trying to make sure every episode I get in as many as I can to show you guys my appreciation for you guys taking the time just to, get to know me and support me and everything. How has your podcast evolved since the first episode? Oh my God, it's like night and day when I think about my first episode to now. I know how to better prepare for my episodes. Obviously, like I mentioned, less anxiety about the episodes when I'm doing it. I'm more comfortable, and I'm here to really have fun. So I'm not scared of not sounding perfect on the mic. My podcast, when you guys listen to my podcast, that's what it's like to have a conversation with me. And if you've ever had a conversation with me, or if you know anybody that has, it can be a quite frustrating experience at times. So I hope you guys don't get the frustrating part through the podcast, but I can be all over the place. You can see sometimes with the way I answer these questions, or some episodes, the topic, I can just go off on something else, but that's just how my brain works. But yeah, so what else we got? How do you stay inspired or motivated in your podcasting journey? It's just the work I want to do. Getting feedback is a major way that I stay inspired to shoot the podcast. Knowing that I feel that by doing this Daddy Everyday podcast, I'm doing the Lord's work, because I would have never dreamed of, doing this for a living. Like the whole Daddy Everyday thing, until it happened about 10 years ago, I never dreamed of doing this. So I know this was something that was put on me. There is definitely a lot more profitable endeavors I can do outside, instead of doing a nonprofit. But if this is what he has for me, he'll make sure I'm taken care of. So I'll just put my heart, my soul, my mind all into this, and I'll see what happens. It's been a glorious ride so far. I feel accomplished, but I'm not done. There's so much more that I want to do. So that's another thing that keeps me inspired and keeps me going, is that there's goals that I want to accomplish that I know I'll accomplish. It's more about me just putting in more of a grind into it, kind of thing. So that's what inspires me. The ultimate goal has not been accomplished, so that's what's going to keep me going. Just like in football, like the goal is to get to the Super Bowl. So you're not done until you win a Super Bowl. Like you keep grinding until you get to that point. So that's where I am. I think I'm still trying to make it to the playoffs as far as this Daddy Everyday thing, because there's so much more greatness to come with the Daddy Everyday. Not with just this podcast, but just with the nonprofit as a whole. I know I have 2 books that I'm currently working on. My goal is to make sure one of those get on a bestsellers list. And the other book, I want to make sure it reach as many incarcerated fathers or parents, I should say, as possible. So I got a lot of more exciting things coming. So with all that going on, that's what keeps me inspired. And what goals do you have for the future of your podcast? Well, I just want eventually the Daddy Everyday podcast just to be talked about for people to say, hey, have you checked out the Daddy Everyday podcast? So if you have a friend that's struggling with something, I want them to say, you need to check out that particular episode on the Daddy Everyday podcast kind of thing. So, great. It'd be great to be like the #1 podcast in fatherhood. Cool goals, but I want it to be something that people share with other people. Not just for an entertainment aspect, but just like, hey, this guy is putting out information out there to help. This guy truly cares about fathers, parents as a whole, and children, basically. Because, like, my goal is to help children. I just want to do it through fathers. So that's what my goal is for Daddy Everyday Podcast. It's just, it be a tool that people use to help better themselves as parents, and as fathers and all that. So that's my ultimate goal. All right, so I have some more podcast questions, but I definitely want to get into some personal questions before I got out of here. So I'll save the rest of these podcast questions. I may, do a post on them just to answer some of the other ones. But thank you for your podcast questions. And I hope they've been useful. The answers been useful for those that are trying to get out there. The number one thing is just be yourself. If you're going to do a podcast, make sure you're being yourself so that every week, every episode you shoot, you don't have to come up with, pretend you're a different person or try to come up with, make sure you stay in character. You can just totally be yourself. So, all right. So here's a question I got. This has been a debate for years, as long as I can remember social media being around. And my boy Chris Rock did a joke on this for years ago about the whole big chicken thing. But I was asked at dinner time, who gets served dinners first? And it's funny because there is no right or wrong answer. It all depends on your household. For me, when I was married, I always want the kids to get their food first. You take care of the kids, and then, me and my then wife will eat. Make sure the kids are taken care of, then we'll eat. I still agree with Chris Rock, though, that Dad should get the big piece of chicken. So I always would feel I should get the big piece of chicken. But other than that, I feel, for me, my boys, make sure my sons get fed first. Now, with saying that, I have no, I don't disagree if someone else does it differently. I know, some household, the father should get fed first. I can see that. He's bringing home the bread, that kind of thing. That was back in the day. So, but if you still carry on that type mentality, I'm not mad at that. Father being served first. So it all depends on your household. So that's not one of those debates. We turn a lot of stuff into debatable questions. It's not a debate. That's an individual household thing. There's no right or wrong answer. I know I like to be served, though. Now, the kids get served, I would like to be served. I feel special in that sense. So I would like to be served, but I can get up and fix my own plate if necessary. One of the questions, are you dating? So I've heard people use this, and I'm about to use it too, and it is a cop-out to a certain extent, but it's complicated. That's the best way I can put it. It's complicated. I've been divorced about 3.5 years. I'm still navigating through feelings, and sometimes new stuff pops up. So it's still something that I won't say struggling with. Like, I'm living everyday life, but I was married 17 years, so I lived a particular life. Like, that was, you know, like a third of my life, kind of thing. Well, over a third of my life in a relationship. So um, I'm still navigating through things. So that's the best way I can put it. So I still have certain feelings or certain things I don't want to tolerate, but and to be in a relationship, you have to tolerate certain things. So I'm still struggling with stuff here and there, but it's complicated. I can leave it at that. What's new with the boys? Dylan would love that you guys asked. Kendrick too. Like I stated, they are he's nervous about going to middle school next year. He's doing great in elementary. It's amazing. In my mind, he's still so little. And to imagine he's going to be in middle school is crazy. And Kendrick's going to college next year. And that's amazing because, like, I remember everything about when he was born. And that was over 18 years ago. And now he's on his way to college. So that's amazing. But two amazing, great kids. I mean, truly blessed to have them. And they make fatherhood exciting. They really do. And without all the drama. So I'm definitely appreciative of that. How do you balance work, daddy every day, the boys, and personal life? Like I stated earlier when it was kind of in the podcast question, I just do the best I can, really. I keep my boys involved in a lot of things. So like up to like, hey, this is what I got going on this week. So they're aware and they are so understanding and supportive. So shout out to them for that. That's why you got to get your family involved because they can be supportive and not make balancing everything so stressful if you get your family involved because the work and everything else is going to be what it is. But the family part is probably the thing you have the most control over. So just talking to them, keeping them in the loop, making them part of it when possible is a great way to navigate through, adulthood because this issue is hard. It really is. And it's like I wish both my parents were still around so I can, because I'm at their age, and it's like, wow, this is what you were going through as an adult, as a parent. I didn't know as a kid. Like, so I talk to my boys a lot about like how I'm feeling and stuff. Like, and my folks never expressed how they felt, how they were feeling. Like, of course, when they were upset about something that we didn't do, they expressed that. But times were different then. You didn't talk about your feelings or like how you feel like you may be struggling at something. You just didn't talk about that. So being open like that has really helped me with my boys. Like I can just express how I'm feeling, like that kind of thing. So it makes them more understanding of things too. So like if they don't get the quality time that they want, they're understanding. Like I said, very supportive of me and everything, daddy every day. So can't wait to have them on the show again. And my last question, will you ever get married again? Now, when I first got a divorce, I was like, nope, that was it, one and done. But no, I can see it. Like I feel like I've grown as a man, and I feel the second time around, I will be a better father. Like I was not better father, better husband. I feel like I was a great father in marriage, but I feel like I was probably a mediocre husband. Like I realized I could have done so much better. Like in the moment, and then it's funny because like a lot of times you don't realize something until you step away from it. And then you realize like I definitely realized my my downfall or just opportunities I could have been better at as far as being a husband and everything. And some of it, like I won't ever place blame on, hey, I didn't have the greatest role models. Like there's a certain point where, yeah, you may not have had this type of stuff, but you're in it now. So you need to figure it out or seek resources to get better at it. And those were things I could have done, but I didn't. I might have to do an episode on that. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to get that personal, but yeah, I definitely could have did better in as far as being a husband. So I definitely would do it again. I would go into it with a different mindset. So it'll be, my goal would be to succeed at being a husband. And hell, by the time I get around to that, like Kendrick's already about to be out the door. Dylan be a step closer to it. So I will be able to focus more on the marriage. Hopefully by then, I will by then have the career. I'll be doing Daddy Every Day full time. So I will be able to dive more into my marriage and making sure it's successful the second time around. So I would seek out advice from guys that have been married multiple times and women. Like, you can learn from both sides as far as navigating being married again. That is definitely a show topic right there too. Not just me as a husband, that's a show topic too. I'm gonna have to work on that as far as being married again. All right, so before I close, there is definitely a PSA that I want to do to women. And I hope you just receive the message and not so much pushback, but it is what it is. Women, I need you ladies, you beautiful, beautiful ladies, to stop letting social media dictate what's important to you. Your relationship should not mirror someone else's. It should be a unique thing. Like, a lot of times, like when you see those social media discussions, how all the women have unified opinions on things. But I was like, how can everybody feel the exact same way about certain topics when it's relationship unique? Like, every relationship is different. There's different things people need. There's different things people want. There's different things that someone can supply to their significant other. So with all these different things, how can you base your relationship off someone else's relationship? Totally. Obviously, there'll be things that'll be the same kind of thing, but it's just unique to me that guys aren't swayed by social media posts like that. I've never heard guys like, "Hey, this is how we're feeling." No, it's a unique thing. The one thing I can say we're unified in is that relationships are still to making the woman satisfied based more than making the relationship satisfied. Like, it's not the whole 50-50 or 100, however you want to put it. It's still making the woman satisfied, like the whole happy wife, happy life, instead of, happy spouse, happy house. That's how I see it. Like, if my spouse is happy and I'm happy, then it's going to be a good thing. But if we're only making one person happy, then how is that a great relationship? So that's my whole thing. I think women allow social media to dictate how they feel about a relationship or their relationship. Guys get in trouble because of what women read on social media. Guys ain't never did that. So they never did that. Like, guys don't let social media do that. So that's my PSA for women. Don't let social media dictate. Like, you know what you like, and don't be afraid to like something and others disagree with it. Like, it is what it is. Just enjoy your life. And that's all I really got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Daddy Everyday podcast. Make sure you subscribe on Evan Vision on YouTube so you don't miss. Turn on those notifications too. Like, when these episodes be dropping and stuff, because a lot of times I'll be late on social media to post it. But if you got the notification, hell, you'll know before I know. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Keep DMing me, sending text messages. When I do another Q&A, I'll try to get to your questions. And that's all I got for you. Thank you, guys.